Good afternoon, esteemed guests and Vaishnavas and well-wishers of His Grace Medhavit Prabhu. Thank you so much for joining us on this wonderfully auspicious occasion of His Grace Medhavit Prabhu's 50th year anniversary in service to Srila Prabhupada and ISKCON. How fortunate we are to have such a special personality to guide us in Kirtan, so close and personal. Thank you, Prabhu, for being with us, and thank you all for visiting. The next part of our program will be a tribute to Srila Prabhupada in the form of Guru Puja. So if you could all rise and we'll pay tribute to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much.
Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Vakati Sadma He Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Andamoye Savadana Madhe Andamoye Savadana Madhe Bhagavaduriya Krishna Prati Hoya Guru Mukha Padma Vajya Dikete Guriya Vajya Yakshudana Viloje Yamme Gamme Galote Yakshudana Viloje Yamme Gamme Galote Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Saraswati Goravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sonyagare Satyakare Sakarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jaya Chaitanya Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vena Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasare Gaura Bhakta Vena Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vena Nityananda Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vena Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vena Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivadacharya His Divine Name is Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivadacharya Sri Divine Name is Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada ki Anand Parivashna Vrinda ki Ramacharya Sri Haridas Thakur ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Giri Govardhan ki Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki Gangamaya Yamuna Maya ki Tulasi Bhakti Devi ki Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda ki. The auspicious celebration, the 50th anniversary in service to Srila Prabhupada ki His Grace Medhavi Prabhu ki Jai Gaur Premanande. All glories to assemble the body. All glories to assemble the body. All glories to assemble the body. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri
I was once attending a similar celebration in Pretoria a couple of years ago, and then we had a similar meditation like what we just had called Kirtan, and at the end the devotees started chanting a particular song that never left my mind. It goes, I want you to repeat the second part if you know it. Vishaka looks excited, I hope she knows it. Ain't no party like a Kirtan party, and the Kirtan party don't stop. Again, ain't no party like a Kirtan party, and the Kirtan party don't stop. You gotta say like, don't stop. Ain't no party like a Kirtan party, and the Kirtan party don't stop. And again, ain't no party like a Kirtan party, and the Kirtan party don't stop. That's it, don't stop. So, thank you all very much for coming and blessing us with your presence, especially His Grace Medhavi Prabhu. 50 years is no joke, and this celebration we just had for Srila Prabhupada made me think. Srila Prabhupada, at 69, most people are starting to retire and sort of relax in life, but Srila Prabhupada only started pushing really hard at that year, and the same goes for His Grace Medhavi Prabhu. There's no sign or symptom of relaxing. 50 years, okay, gonna hang up my boxing gloves now. No, we can see a stalwart example, and we had to honor that example today and ask for the mercy and the blessings to also imbibe that in our own lives, that we can have as much determination, such commitment, such courage that Medhavi Prabhu has demonstrated over the past 50 years. So we would like to welcome His Grace Medhavi Prabhu and Her Grace Mother Lalita, our esteemed guests for today's 50-year service celebration, as well as some old friends and new ones. Thank you all for joining us, and we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day with us. I'd like to now call upon the Temple President, His Grace Gokulesh Prabhu, to offer some homage to Medhavi Prabhu. So Gokulesh and his good wife are jetting off to generally, management like to speak last so they can give thanks and they can give blessings, but they're jetting off, so wish them a good trip as well.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. My apologies for not being able to join you through the entire festival today. I would really like to, but we're on the way to Bali for a family wedding. So, but still, I'm grateful to have the time, a little bit of time with all of you today, and to be able to honor His Grace Meravi Prabhu in some small way. I was reflecting on what I most appreciate about His Grace Meravi Prabhu, and there's so many things that one could say. From his service here in Cape Town, saving the center with Mother Lalita, saving the center from closing, to distributing Prabhupada fearlessly in Ireland, where he ended up in prison in the service of Srila Prabhupada. There's so many things that one could mention and honor. But I think for me, what I consider very prominent now, at least in my consciousness, is that to live a life in sacrifice for the benefit of others, not just for Srila Prabhupada, but for those who are aspiring in Krishna consciousness. You know, to have a hero in your life and to aspire to follow a hero is one thing. It's a little easier. Yeah, because that person is so inspirational. You know, he has so much of good advice. You know, he or she has so much of good advice. They set the perfect example. To live one's life and sacrifice for such a person, it's tough, but you know, you can psych yourself up, yeah, to do it. But what about to live your life in sacrifice for those who may let you down from time to time? For those who have some faults. Yes, they're working on it, but they have faults. Yeah, for those who may not always live up to their promises. What about living such a life of sacrifice? That's not so easy. Yeah, it's not so easy. I mean, consider for ourselves, if somebody lets you down in a relationship, can you still go out and bat for them? Yeah, can you still maintain your positivity and encouragement for them? Now that is the service that Meravi Prabhu has taken up for Srila Prabhupada. And that's not a small thing. And he does so with such grace and humility, despite so many challenges, material challenges, institutional challenges, despite it all, still pushing forward in Srila Prabhupada's service and bringing persons to the lotus feet of Krishna. So what is the greatest service than that? So, Vasandi was mentioning, 50 years is nothing to be scoffed at. Through arthritis, through whatever comes, and Meravi Prabhu is still there, still inspired in the service of Prabhupada. So, I can just pray to him for his continued guidance and shelter, that we may, in some way, follow in his footsteps, all of us, in trying to serve Prabhupada, and pray to Nishingadev and Shishi Nitai Puchandra that we will have his continued association here in Cape Town, his continued inspiration and guidance for many years to come. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for everything that you do for us and for the devotional community. And we wish you another 50 years of service and, you're eternally Srila Prabhupada's servant. So, however it may unfold, we wish you everything of the best always. Hare Krishna. His Grace Meravi Prabhu ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Hare Krishna.
What beautiful beautiful words. Thank you, Medari Prabhu, for being a hero and teaching us how to serve the ultimate hero. And it's an honor to be able to be part of the ceremony of honoring our elders. Next up, we'd like to call on His Grace Shiva Shankar Prabhu, a stalwart member of the community, and absolutely, hands down, without a doubt, part of the team of absolutely wonderful best cooks ever.
Thank you, Mataji. I don't think there's a comeback for that. Thank you. Well, yeah, what can you say after Gokul Prabhu did that? It's a tough act to follow. But, 50 years, this movement started with craziness from the day of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and totally exploded with Srila Prabhupada. And, in service, we thought we had to try and do something a little what's in your heart. So we hope that many people will accept that from us. And the one line of His Grace Medari Prabhu crossed fairly early. And I think that was one of our greatest blessings. Yeah. So, yeah.
Says Knoxville to Cape Town.
And there's a picture of Srila Prabhupada's feet as the emblem.
Oh.
And so it's magical because that's what's in your heart. And when Srila Prabhupada came and he blew it all, gave this crazy madness throughout the world, we were lucky for the last 40 years or so that Medari Prabhu has been with us. I tried Medari Prabhu to Google and find something decent about Knoxville, but nothing. It's kind of like Durban. But yeah, we're actually grateful that the majority of the time has been here to nourish the devotees in their service to His divine grace. And I was reflecting on what Gokul Prabhu was saying, and we were singing earlier, Kevala Bhakti. And you can ask anyone in ISKCON if you say, well, I know Medari Prabhu. There's two adjectives that immediately pop up. Within the top 3 or 4, it's always the case. It's the humility and the selfness. And this is that Kevala Bhakti. We're all on this path of Bhakti. Bhakti is a very special path. It's actually Krishna's heart. But the strange thing about this path is that as you go and you go further, this road gets very, very narrow. This path becomes narrower and narrower. We all start, it's nice and wide, we have this whole congregation. The path gets narrower over time. And ultimately it gets to a stage where there's no place for calm or for Ram. You've got to pick which one you want. Calm means your false ego, your identity, or you serve Prabhupada. And when you do this Kevala Bhakti, this exclusive devotion to Prabhupada, this humility and the selflessness of service comes through very easily. And Medari Prabhu, you've always shown that since those early days, since we've known you. I think throughout the years, everyone all over the world actually concurs that that's your greatness. So we hope that you continue to nourish us, give us your guidance, and we are blessed to have your association in Cape Town. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Shiv Shankar. Aren't we so grateful to have found that one gem that did exist in Knoxville, Tennessee? And now, next up, we'd like to call Her Grace Mother, Braja Vilasini Mataji, and she'll represent the Naidu family. Thank you, Mataji.
Not really. His Grace Radhi Shyam Prabhu and himself. Hare Krishna, dear Medavi Prabhu, Hare Krishna devotees, please accept our humble obeisances of Vice to Srila Prabhupada. This offering is written on behalf of His Grace Radhi Shyam Prabhu and myself, on behalf of the devotees of South Africa, as well as the leadership of South Africa. So on behalf of the devotees of ISKCON South Africa, we extend our warmest congratulations and deepest appreciation to you, Medavi Prabhu, as you celebrate this remarkable milestone, 50 years since joining ISKCON. Your journey has been nothing short of awe-inspiring to many, as we'll hear today as well. As the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, Verse 17, beautifully proclaims, in this material world to render service to the lotus feet of Govinda, the cause of all causes, and to see him everywhere, that's the only goal of life. This much alone is the ultimate goal of human life, as explained in our revealed scriptures. You are certainly the embodiment of the selfless service to our beloved Srila Prabhupada, and to Shri Nitai Mayapur Chandra, and to Lord Krishna. You are a shining example to all devotees. You have selflessly served in India, in London, in Ireland, and in South Africa. We might have missed a few. You were part of that instrumental and historic team that traveled all over South Africa selling paintings. Only because of the endeavors of yourself and that core team do we now have the beautiful landmark temple, Shri Shri Radha Radhanath, in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal. You dedicated much of your time here in Cape Town to establishing this yatra. Prabhu, you are indeed a trailblazer who deserves much more gratitude and respect from the children, the grandchildren, their children of the founder of this movement. In the history of ISKCON, you will forever be remembered for your contribution to this society. Through your tireless efforts and unwavering faith in Prabhupada's teaching, you have laid a strong foundation for the growth and expansion of this movement. So today we have around 17 temples and almost 30 Food for Life kitchens. And this would not have been possible without the efforts of yourself, without your dedication to spreading Srila Prabhupada's movement here in South Africa. Like others would have said, you are naturally compassionate, humble, and you care for everybody. So as we celebrate this 50 years of your dedication to ISKCON, we beg to you, please bless us and wish us well. We offer our obeisances to you, Mother Lalita, as well, to Narayan, to Bala, and to Prahlad as well, who have also sacrificed so much so that we are here today, and we have so much to show in ISKCON in South Africa. So thank you, and please pass on to them as well. So thank you, Medavi Prabhu. Please bless us so we can continue and take this movement further in South Africa. Your servants, Raj Vilasini Devi Dasi, Radhesham Das. His Grace Medavi Prabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Mother Vraja. As you were speaking, I was thinking of the Sri Sri Radha Radhanath temple. If any of you have been there, it's a beautiful palace-like temple in Durban, what we would call the mothership of temples in South Africa. So if you can visualize this like palace, basically. And the last time I was visiting there, I had this profound sense of gratitude that Mother Vraja was reflecting. I was thinking about our seniors who had worked so tirelessly to fundraise to build this temple. Something like that doesn't just come out of thin air. It takes a lot of hard work. And I have a question, Medavi Prabhu. I wonder, because in today's age, every building you pass has a big sign in capital letters, no hawkers. Were those signs around when you were selling paintings? Thank you so much for all the sacrifices. Did you want to say something about it?
And the Doberman Pinscher and the Alsatian.
So thank you very much. And there's a Sanskrit saying that Gokulesh likes to say, but I can't think of it, about the tree and the fruit.
Palena Parichiyate.
Palena Parichiyate means one can judge the tree by its fruits. So if you have a look at this temple and you see What these seniors were able to accomplish by those efforts of being so humble and going on the street in the cold, in the heat, being chased by Dobermans and police, apartheid police, then you'll see the fruit of the wonderful tree of association we have with this senior devotee. So thank you, Mother Vraja, for that wonderful offering. Next up, we'd like to see if His Grace Premamrita Prabhu would like to come forward.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Mervi Prabhu. Hare Krishna. His Grace Mervi Prabhu. I wish you your 50th anniversary. Well, in fact, is that health and keep on giving good service for Prabhupada and to the temple. And as we know each other for the last 44 years, very close association with Mervi Prabhu. I just want to give a little bit of background that everybody knows how did we come to know about Krishna conscious and with Mervi Prabhu. So I can recall many years back when this premises were bought, and then it was such a bad state, and then we were trying to get this place in order, and my children and everybody has tried to assist keeping this temple in a good shape. But as we went along, I must say that Mervi Prabhu has rendered a lot of service in Cape Town, especially from Durban to Cape Town, going for fundraising. And I can recall Mervi Prabhu has gone to Metro and Macro and all the supermarkets those years and start selling the frames of Krishna. And he's done a lot of service in Cape Town. And I maintain is that we just pray Mervi Prabhu long life and keep on give us good service. And that's all I would say. And all your blessings from all the devotees and Vaishnavis. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Can you give me a microphone so I can... If I do that, then I'll take the whole day.
Thank you very much, Premamrita Prabhu and his good wife, Mother Kanka Bhaja, are also sort of founding seniors of our movement and really were there for the devotees when this building didn't exist and kind of the foundational members. And as you were speaking, Prabhu, I was thinking, yes, I painted this picture of the palace in Durban, but how humble and dedicated is it that His Grace decides to stay here and give us association, even though it's such a tiny community, and it's a humble place to be, but so full of mercy because people like Mervi Prabhu decide to stay and keep on believing in this yatra and giving us those kind of blessings. So thank you for that, Prabhu. You could be anywhere in the world. You could be in Mayapur Dham, you could be anywhere. But you chose to be in this expansion of Mayapur Dham and give us your blessings. So we're very grateful. Thank you. Next up, I'd like to call on His Grace Radhasharam Prabhu.
Hello.
Hare Krishna, Mervi Prabhu. Hare Krishna, everyone. Krishna is described as Nava Yovana, ever fresh, and everything related to Krishna is ever fresh. That is why when you seriously study Srila Prabhupada's books, even if you read the same passage multiple times, each time a new realization is revealed. 50 years of doing the same thing every day is no small feat. There has to be some taste in order to maintain that. So definitely Mervi Prabhu has been able to get that taste. And that taste can only be achieved by sincerity, dedication and hard work. If we contemplate these facts, we can come to the conclusion that Mervi Prabhu is a form of glorification of Krishna's Nava Yavana characteristic, in that he is continually getting the taste, even with much difficulty that we all know he faces with his health and other challenges that life has thrown at him. He still comes out standing strong in his service to Srila Prabhupada.
Power off.
And also, as the saying goes, behind every successful man is a strong woman. So this achievement couldn't have been done without the support of Mother Lalita, who has played an equally glorious role in Madhavi Prabhu's life as a wife, a mother, and a woman that has lived a life of sacrifice. Thank you, Madhavi Prabhu and Mother Lalita, for your lives of sacrifice to serve Srila Prabhupada's mission. You are an inspiration to many of us, and I hope to have your association for many more years. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Radha Srila Prabhu. And thank you very much for expertly opening up the next part of the program. So now we would like to call on a few devotees to honor Her Grace Mother Lalita. So the daughters of a few of the mothers will represent them through the offerings. So first we'll call on Shivani.
Everyone, this is on behalf of Manjari. Dear Mata, it is my absolute pleasure to share an appreciation of you. I want to take a moment to let you know how much you are appreciated. There are many people we meet in our lives. However, not many have left a lasting impression on my mind and affection. It was in the late 1980s when I first came to the temple, and almost immediately I felt at home. That was in no small way because of you and Madhavi Prabhu. You have welcomed me into the fold of aspiring devotees, and we all felt protected under your care. These are little expressions of love that go a long way in encouraging us in our devotional service. Devotional service is joyously performed, and you played a significant role in making my service pleasurable. My training began with your personal instruction in the kitchen. This included instructions on spicing, vegetable combinations, and recipe. We will sample the cauliflower and potato dish in a short while, which I told my mom to put extra dhania in for the water. So I hope it does justice to your instruction. You were also my companion whenever I had to do shopping, banking, or other services. Those were simple, blissful times, with a certain unique charm. You have always been like a mother, or an older sister perhaps, to me, with your protective and caring nature. I remember a time that we were both in our 20s. It was a sad time when you and the family left to reside in Sri Dham, Mayapur. A few of us visited you in Mayapur in 1993. You and Madhavi Prabhu took us in like family, with Madhavi Prabhu even giving up his room so that Mother Sachi Priya and I could stay. The selfless serving attitude towards devotees is natural for you and is a consequence of your soft heart. Thank you for always taking care of me and for your support and guidance. Your servant, Guna Manjari Devi Dasi. And then I'd just like to sneak in my one while I'm up here. Dear Mata, I remember the first time I saw and introduced myself to you 6 years ago in my first year of varsity, and subsequently met the rest of the family. I was a hungry student with no good curry to be found anywhere on campus. Times are tough. I fondly remember getting my medium tub of rice, dal and koftas, followed by the customary slice of carrot cake. I was frequently late for my biology lectures as a result of securing these goods for myself and thereafter my friends as well. It often reminded me of home. And after reading my mom's message, I think we can understand why it reminded me of home. I enjoy spending time with you and look forward to more activity sessions together. Thank you for being so loving, open-hearted, and encouraging. P.S. My mom said she's okay with sharing me, but with you only. Your servant, Shivani. Thank you.
Next up, we'll call Vishaka to speak on behalf of her mom.
Hello everybody. This is on behalf of my mom, Tamai. Hare Krishna, Madhavi Prabhu, Lalita Mataji, and dear devotees.
I am deeply honored to be able to share a few words about Lalita Mataji and express my gratitude for her association in our personal lives and in our Krishna consciousness. Lalita Mataji, I am grateful for your wonderful mentorship and association in which has guided me and my family through our spiritual life over the past 34, 35 years. I would like to speak about Lalita Mataji's most early years in ISKCON, a time that was before she and Madhavi Prabhu moved to Cape Town. At an early age of 18, she was curious to know about the festivities that were happening at the temple in Cambridge, which happened to be the tent programs that were held by His Holiness Parthasati Maharaj. She found herself enjoying the programs and continued to visit them more and more frequently. 2 years later, she joined the temple in Durban, and 6 months later, she took her first initiation. Very quickly, she became involved in the temple services, such as doing bhakya. 6 months later, she got her Brahmin initiation. She then started taking special care of the deities by cooking for them, dressing them, and making beautiful gardens for them. As time went on, the temple in Cambridge was sold, and the devotees living in the temple were moved to Muldersdrift in Johannesburg, which was a huge farm. Lalita Mataji continued to care for and serve the deities there. Sri Sri Gauranitai. These deities are now based in the Ganesha temple. Lalita Mataji was also an excellent ashram teacher for some years. She also cared for the Gurukul girls. Lalita Mataji continued doing such wonderful services. It was after some time the temple authorities arranged her marriage to Madhavi Prabhu. Soon after their marriage, they were asked to move to Cape Town and save our temple. And so, Madhavi Prabhu and Lalita Mataji bravely moved to Cape Town in the late 80s with their 5-month-old Narayan, in which they dove straight into the deep end. Lalita Mataji's services were endless. She cooked the most scrumptious breakfasts and lunches 7 days a week, as well as all of the Sunday love feasts. Apart from Lalita Mataji's delicious cooking, she was and is also very creative. Her sewing and knitting skills were unmatched. She also had no fear in experimenting and trying new things. She also has a very good eye in garland making. I would like to thank you for your wonderful friendship, in which is very much cherished. Please continue to give us your wonderful guidance and association in our ISKCON family. Your servant, Tamai Radhika.
Thank you so much, ladies. And Banu, would you like to come forward with a gift? So, Banu looks like she wants to give a gift to you. Do you want to say something?
It's on behalf of the whole congregation. Something for my dad.
Thank you, Mother Lalita. People touch the hearts of others through different mediums. His Grace Madhavi Prabhu goes out and meets people through paintings in the past and now gives lectures extensively. I sometimes take a walk around and try to meet people myself, and you'll be surprised how many people spot my tilak or something like that and they go, oh yes, I've tasted the delicious food at UCT. So Mother Lalita is a seriously empowered cook who touches the hearts of many. And they seem to have sort of spiritual experiences just by tasting that prasadam. So thank you, Mataji.
It's the carrot cake.
I've had reports on the kofta balls, the carrot cake, a lot of things from different people that I've met randomly. Sometimes they come running up to me. I love those kofta balls. Someone did that once. So thank you, Mataji. You certainly are blessed by Krishna to cook and be so loving to everyone. Next up, we'd like to go back to His Grace Madhavi Prabhu, and we'll call Mother Shalini Mataji to speak on behalf of the Diaram family.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of His Grace Madhavi Prabhu's celebration. I'm reading my offering on behalf of my husband Anand and myself. We have known His Grace for many years. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur is renowned and celebrated in ISKCON for being the ideal householder and acharya. Sannyasi gurus within ISKCON are highly regarded as the face of ISKCON. His Grace Madhavi Prabhu has spent his entire life in the service, entire adult life, in the service of his guru, Srila Prabhupada. By nature, His Grace Madhavi Prabhu is humble and quiet and has set an exceptionally high example for all of us to follow. There are many examples that we can recall on how His Grace Madhavi Prabhu has integrated his family life and parental duties with his Krishna consciousness. One of our earliest recollections is how His Grace Madhavi Prabhu and Lalita Mataji came to visit us in our flat in Randiwash when our eldest daughter Shrida was born. We were amazed that such a great senior devotee would come to our house to offer their blessings and so much love to us. Amazingly, our children were never intimidated by His Grace when visiting his house or seeing him at the temple or a picnic. His Grace is always approachable and made our children feel comfortable enough to make His Grace a birthday card with a picture of Lord Jagannath on it. To this day, the card is on Madhavi Prabhu's shelf. And we are so grateful for these little things. In the same vein, Madhavi Prabhu also knew, as a father should know, what programs the children would like to watch on TV, like Nickelodeon, that other sannyasi gurus may not necessarily have been able to relate to. When visiting their home recently, my children were so thrilled to play with the dog, and they were treated to Lalita Mataji's wonderful cookies. This left such a deep impression on my children's mind. They felt that finally they had found someone they could relate to. Madhavi Prabhu's most amazing quality is his humility, and sometimes we may take this for granted. I would also like to take this opportunity to glorify Her Grace Lalita Mataji, who came with her husband to ISKCON Cape Town when her children were very, very small. I cannot imagine how difficult this must have been. She has given years of her life to serving Krishna consciousness to Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON. Throughout the years, Lalita Mataji has regularly served the devotees a very special feast each year on Madhavi Prabhu's birthday. Devotees were treated every year to delicious preparations, everything from donuts to scones. And I think one of the things that I find so amazing is her attention to detail. Every single preparation, the way things are prepared, tomatoes are sliced into scones and so on. It's just, I think, also as a student, I used to relish these wonderful preparations at UCT, the cocktails and so on. So we are so thankful. I have always felt that I was able to turn to Lalita Mataji for advice. Example, one time we had a program with His Holiness Kadamba Kanana Swami at our home in Crawford, and I asked Mataji, what should I prepare as prasad? I think all ladies have this question, what should we prepare as prasad? She explained that when one cooks for devotees, it should be very opulent. The subjects should all have paneer. So she has always been there to give me advice on everything, from fashion, styling orders, to cooking, also to young ladies who attend the temple for the first time. I remember an occasion once during the kirtan where some Mataji had come to our temple for the first time, very scantily clad. And while all of us were thinking, how do we approach this? How do we tell this newcomer without putting her off from Krishna consciousness? To cover up. And while we were still thinking, Mataji so lovingly found a charter, I don't know where it manifested from, and it just so lovingly covered her so she wouldn't feel like she did something wrong. So we have been so dependent on Mataji for advice. I've asked Mataji for advice on everything, right until what puppy school to send my puppy to, and others like this. His Grace Medhavi Prabhu follows Srila Prabhupada's instruction to the letter. He is 100% a Srila Prabhupada disciple, and we should follow his example to Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON. Personally, I had this experience when my dad passed away. I was having extreme difficulty with this loss. So I approached His Grace Medhavi Prabhu, and based on Shastra, he referred me to the book Teachings of Queen Kunti, where the verse describes how Queen Kunti prayed to Krishna for detachment from her kinsmen and family members. So I've always reflected on this verse and tried to really make it one with my heart and imbibe the teachings. I'm still having difficulty in being more detached, but I think it gave me a lot of strength when I needed it most. In this holy month of Purushottam, when we try to increase our spiritual practices, let us together as a community think how we can better serve His Grace Medhavi Prabhu and Lalita Mataji. Thank you so much for your kindness and your humility that you've shown our family over the years, and we pray that we can better serve you in the future. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for that lovely offering, Mother Shuni. And thank you for demonstrating such love to that young lady, Mother Lalita. That inspired me a lot to hear. And now we'd like to call on our good friend Bipin Prabhu, and then there's some media surprise after that, or during, as part of his offering. So that sounds exciting. Stay tuned.
Krishna Medhavi Prabhu and Mother Lalita and all the devotees. I'm not going to repeat everything that everybody has said, so I'm going to scrap what I had in mind and just cover a few things. And sometimes, just speaking unprepared often comes out better. So we all spoke about Medhavi Prabhu's wonderful qualities, and there's two anecdotes that I'm combining into one that maybe I'll share. Is Medhavi Prabhu's got this wonderful sense of humor. And it's sometimes you get it and you don't get it, but when you do get it, it's really, really profound, I would say. And the other quality of Medhavi Prabhu is, he would be able to engage devotees based on their capacity, and it could be anything. So when I was very young, and my dad mentioned earlier when the temple was first started. And I think we don't want to go back too much in history, but I think it's so important that the new congregation understands what the early beginnings were. When you see that where the door is, the pillar, that's how small this temple was. And the altar was over there, the main altar. And slowly over time, we extended, and I think probably in the congregation, Mother Louise, a very long time would understand or appreciate. But the story I was going to tell is how Medhavi first engaged me when I came to the temple. Is I was I think at school, 18 years old, and with a bicycle. My mom reminded me every Saturday my habit was to come in the morning, get some exercise, and just come to the temple and find out, what is it to be done. And a young person, something exciting was, we have a new temple. We came here, and it was a total shock, because I think it was a home, and it was in a terrible state. It was really terrible. To describe, I don't know if a hellhole is something to describe this place, but sometimes when you take something the worst it can be and convert it and transform it to what we have today, it's only through Medavi's grace, Medavi Prabhu's grace. And so I got here, and the first thing I asked Medavi Prabhu, okay, so how can we help? And he gave me this scraper, and there were layers and layers and layers of paint. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like very excited, trying to come and help, and here somebody gives you a scraper. And I couldn't understand, but we had to clean this place, we had to fix this place. And so that was one way of Medavi Prabhu engaging me in service from the early days. We went out to Sankirtan today, and everybody mentioned how Medavi Prabhu sacrificed probably many, many years of his life being out on the road. And all that time, I'm sure Medavi Prabhu must have been yearning, like all devotees do, to rather spread Krishna's love and the message and what Prabhupada has to say than having to sell paintings or candles. So if you can understand, if all your focus is on devotional service, but now you've got to be a karmi and having to sell this, it's very, very hard. It's often breaking as well to try and do something that you really, but the conviction Medavi Prabhu had was, there was one goal. We needed a temple. Srila Prabhupada wanted the one facility he identified in Chatsworth, and that's what the goal is. And together with that same conviction, the Cape Town Temple actually was manifest as well through Medavi Prabhu's efforts. What I'd like to now further say is that, we don't have many Prabhupada disciples here. And Medavi Prabhu in our midst, is a wonderful gift in itself. Rather than anything else we have, if you can understand from a philosophical level or on a transcendental level, Prabhupada physically gave his chanting beads to Medavi Prabhu. And this is the direct connection. In the business world, there's always, if you have contacts with an operations manager, you're going to get to the CEO. So Medavi Prabhu is that contact that we have to take us straight to Srila Prabhupada. And the one gift that we wanted to also give Medavi Prabhu, and I was thinking, what is something special that we can give Medavi Prabhu? And Madhukesha was talking about a slideshow, so we're going to see a slideshow now. And there are so many gems in there in terms of footage that hasn't been seen before, so please enjoy. And to make it special, I was very touched with Harikirtan Das Prabhu. He wrote a song, and the song was My Old Friend. And when I happened to take a photograph on that day as well, you'll see the photograph, and it reminded me of what this message meant. And it can mean to many people, many devotees in different ways, but it's got a very universal message. And the moment I heard this, and I heard the lyrics, which we're going to play now, and I understood Medavi Prabhu, and I saw Medavi Prabhu in this journey, going back to his old friend as this symbolically as being Srila Prabhupada. So let's start the slideshow.
We start the program. Start by time.
Sorry, who's that? I was just going to honor Mother Lalita. I forgot, which was on the script, but I forgot. And it's very important that we have a Grihastha as sometimes as a temple president and a wife as a partner. And they they offer different roles in the yatra. And it's so important that Mother Lalita held and embraced the responsibility of all the Devis and the Matajis in terms of their needs. So it's very, very important. You know, I was going to say something comical, but I'm going to say it anyway. You know, ladies' brains are just wired differently, and it needs somebody special like Mother Lalita to really come down to the level of embracing all their needs. So thank you, Mother Lalita. It's really special. And we're not going to speak about the food. I remember I used to work in town, and every excuse on the road, I used to pop in at UCT just so that I can go and get the samosa, because you couldn't find anything else, or the cheesecake. Devotees, I'm sure you appreciate this, but you have no idea when you're not allowed to have eggs, and you know you can't just eat anywhere, how special a cheesecake or the carrot cake or just a sweet would be. My wife would make, but Mother Lalita's cheesecake and carrot cake is special. So thank you.
Maximum value.
Feels like I'm finally going back home again, hand in hand with my old friend. Come, let us go, let us sing, let us dance, let's get out of this place. Let's bring as many souls with us, as much as we can take. Feels like I'm walking next to my elder brother. Sometimes he lifts me up, and sometimes he pushes me back over. I can't quite make out why I stayed away so long. He always makes me feel like I belong. Feels like I'm finally going back home again, hand in hand with my old friend. Come, let us go, let us sing, let us dance round and round and round. Let's gather as many souls to join in the fun. Feels like I'm walking next to a spiritual warrior, so humble you wouldn't even say. So obvious, it's his smile that gives it away. Feels like I'm finally going back home again, skipping and dancing with my old friend, singing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Feels like I'm finally going back home again. Skipping and dancing with my old friend.
Mere Devi Prabhu ki jai.
Thank you. Now the part we've been waiting for, to hear some gems of wisdom in His grace news.
Hare Krishna. First thing I want to say is that I'm glad you're all here. And I'm not glad you're all here for me, but I'm glad you're all here for Srila Prabhupada. I'm glad you're all here because you've heard the message that Srila Prabhupada has brought. And it's come from so many different sources, so many different devotees have brought the message, pieces of the message, and you've picked it up. You've picked up that message, and you're thinking about it, you're meditating about it, you're appreciating it. You want to follow it, you want to grasp it, and become what Srila Prabhupada wanted the people of the Western world to become. So we went on the street this morning and chanted a little while, which I haven't done for donkey's years. The last time I did it was when Hare Kirtan Prabhu started on his peninsula walk, the 125 kilometer walk for Srila Prabhupada's 125th anniversary appearance. And I started the kirtan from here and got to the main road. And then he took over. So, yeah. So that was the time before. Anyway, the one point I sat with Murari Gupta Prabhu yesterday, and we were just kind of putting an outline together. But I think it'll probably take a long time. But anyway, the first point I wanted to make was that I met a devotee. Well, maybe I'll just have to go through the thing. I was raised in a Catholic family in Memphis, Tennessee. And one of my brothers had cerebral palsy completely. He was a big baby at 12 years old. He was still in nappies. He had to be on a high chair. And he passed away. And it struck me so hard, as it will when someone close to you. And even though he was basically, he couldn't communicate in words or anything, but we could communicate. We could communicate. We knew that there was a person there, a loving person there, and he died. And then it affected me, and I don't know if you know Americans, many Americans. Americans like to be funny. They like to be funny. They think they're funny. They think they're funny. But, and I would try to be like funny. But I stopped being funny when I realized that, you know, what am I here for? What is the purpose of my life? And I die, and there's no purpose for my existence. So I became very introspective, very introspective. I read a lot. I was trying to find out what am I here for. I asked my father. I asked him, why did you bring me to this world? And he looked at me like I was crazy. Because, you know, people don't think about that. So I met devotees in a park in Memphis. I saw at the university a mimeograph sheet of paper said, enjoy a vegetarian feast on the Krishna bus, KRSNA, and I often relate. I looked at that word for about 10 minutes to figure it out, how they left a vowel out. And just to show that I had no idea who Krishna was or even what Krishna's name was. That's where I started, right before the start, you know, before you get started. So, and I went to there, and I thought there would be some young people with t-shirts and bell-bottom jeans standing on their heads. And I come around the corner and I see these shiny, saffron, smiling faces. And I thought, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I thought I was getting myself prepared. I felt that there is a meaning. There is a purpose to my life. I don't know what it is, but when I find out, I'm going to be ready. So I used to take TM, I took karate, I took, I worked in construction the whole day, and I felt physically, mentally, I was preparing myself. But when I walked around that corner and saw the devotees, I said, wow, I don't know if I'm ready for this. And this devotee sat me down with a plate of prasadam, And he just gave me the truth, told me the truth. And I was fully satisfied. Prasadam was fully satisfying, and the philosophy was fully satisfying. But I was engaged. I had, different things that were attachments. But there was this one devotee, his name was Ajadas. And I was going to read the part, it's from the Madhurya Kadambini. Hare Krishna Deva. And the God, Hare Krishna. Some friends. And in the Madhurya Kadambini, it talks about the beginning of faith. The beginning of faith. And it gives how that faith can happen. And it talks about millions of lifetimes of Agyata Sukriti, which is what we were doing when we were walking on the streets, chanting Hare Krishna. People hearing the holy names, seeing devotees, touching a book, taking prasadam, all those things add up and develop one's faith. And then there's something else. It's called Bala Parita. It means when someone strongly preaches to you. I mean, some people, they're nice, they talk to you at your level and try to introduce it nicely. And there's some people that are just strong preachers. They don't care what you think. They don't care what you think. You're wrong. And you have to step up and get sorted out. And this Ajadas was that kind of devotee. And practically speaking, he forced me. He forced me to become a devotee. And there was no temple anywhere. I had to join a bus. I had to join a bus, a school bus with devotees. And will there be a chance, Ashwin? Can you show your thing or not?
No, we didn't. We connected.
Mm-hmm.
Can you show the video?
You can show it maybe after. But practically speaking, I shouldn't have become a devotee. If I hadn't met him, I probably would have shaken it off and gone around another few times the next time I met a devotee. But due to his kindness, which I didn't really think it was at the time, he was just pushy. He was pushy. Then I joined the devotees. And again, the Madhurya Kadambini gives many examples of materialistic people having a hard time coming to spiritual understanding. And we talked about Knoxville. Knoxville was where I joined, but it doesn't have too many happy memories, but that's where it started. I joined there, and I tell the story about the first time I went out to distribute books. I arrived there, and I found the place where the devotees were staying, and nobody was there, because they were all in town distributing books. So the devotee who was there told me, well, you can go there. You can either stay here and wait, and that was nothing, or you can go into town and meet them. So when I met the devotees, they gave me some magazines, and I was wearing my bed sheet and my t-shirt. And I was trying to distribute on the streets of Knoxville, Tennessee. If you know what a redneck is, there's lots of them. And I met this African boy that I went to school with, I went to high school with. I didn't meet him actually, he saw me. And he came up, and I told the story. He looked at me like, is it really you? And then he started laughing. A real guffaw. And he just said, you don't know what you're doing. And I had to agree with him. Because I just got here. And I didn't know anything. But I promised myself that I will find out what I'm doing, and then I'll tell you. I'll be able to convince you that what I'm doing is the only good thing to do in life. And what you're doing, billions of people have done for millions of years, and they all end up frustrated. So that was the first attempt. In Knoxville as well, the next day we had an initiation. 2 devotees got second initiation, Ajadas, and a very other nice devotee named Rajajana. They got their second initiation in a little duplex house that the devotees were renting. Unfortunately, that evening somebody threw a firebomb into the window. And Brajadana was sleeping in a sleeping bag under the window, and he caught most of the brunt. And he was burned over 90% of his body, 3rd degree, and a week later he passed away. And in that video there, is it ready? Maybe you can just play the start of that.
Running mode. Bluetooth. Hair.
This is Krishna Padaya, Krishna Prasaya, Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami, Iti Nami, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani, Nirviteja Shunyadai Aishtakadesha Karini Chaitanya Prabhu Nitya Nanda Shri He goes into an interview just now. One of the questioners discusses this incident. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare in the United States, in a small city called Memphis, Tennessee, of Roman Catholic parents, Italian descent, and I was raised in a Catholic educational system, and primary, secondary, and tertiary schools. And yeah, from an early childhood, there was some religious intent, and eventually, as life happened, and I began to question more, and the Catholic worldview just didn't answer the questions. So when I did meet devotees, many years later, then it clicked. This is the truth. You didn't have to tell me. I knew it. It was a radical change. A radical change from not even knowing how to say the word Krishna. The first time I met devotees, it was at a Sunday love feast in Overton Park in Memphis. And there was no temple in Memphis. And they were traveling through on a school bus. And they had advertised a vegetarian feast. And I was doing yoga. I was taking martial arts. I was working in construction full time. And I felt like I'm preparing myself. Because I asked myself, is there meaning to life? And I read, a big reader at the time. And I decided, yes, there is a meaning to my life. I don't know what it is. But when I find out, I'm going to be ready. So I was taking piano, I was doing martial arts, I was doing yoga. And the yoga book I was taking, it was very effective, actually. It's just a small book, but some are other. I was having some real experiences. And one of the recommendations was at least to cut out red meat and hopefully become a vegetarian. So when I saw the sign vegetarian, I said, okay, let's go, we'll check this out. So I thought it would be boys and girls in t-shirts and bell-bottom jeans and like that. And I came around the corner and I see there's God from Mars. With shiny faces and shiny hairs and bright saffron robes. Asked myself, I don't know if I'm ready for this. But somehow by the look at things, we'll see how I find out. And this devotee turned out to be a bhakta. His faith is starting to be done. Spoke to philosophy.
Maximum value.
Astounded. Because I didn't even have to ask the questions. They were already kind of answered by the way he made his presentation. And then I knew I had to do something. I had to, now you've been exposed. So you're either going to accept it or you're going to go back to sleep and become a nonsense like you were. You were searching and now you found it. So what are you going to do? So my idea was, I can help. Maybe I can help. And I felt I can give it a year and see what happens. And very soon afterwards, Krishna made arrangements. I was in an interesting material situation. I was engaged to be married and things like that. And I brought, even later interactions, I brought my fiancée to meet the devotees, and she wasn't interested. Things became fairly clear about people's individual motivations. My parents, this young lady, like that. So then Krishna made the arrangement for these things to disappear. He gave me the opportunity, so I joined the devotees in Knoxville, Tennessee. And it was interesting because I don't know if I even mentioned the first day I arrived, all the devotees were on book distribution. So what did we do? Go on book distribution. And I didn't really even know anything. I bought some cloth at a fabric shop, and I was wearing a sheet and a t-shirt. And here I am on the street in Knoxville, and I don't really know these things. I just had this faint understanding that this is the right thing. So interestingly enough, I met a boy who was going to the University of Tennessee that I went to high school with. And he saw me on the street, and he stopped, and he looked, and he kind of looked at me like, is this really true? Is this really happening? And then he started laughing. A real guffaw. Like that, thinking that in such a better position here I am. And he just said, you don't know what you're doing. And it was true. I didn't know what I was doing. I only had this idea. But I had no self-understanding. But I promised myself right then that I'm going to learn what I'm doing. I'm going to be able to tell you very clearly that this is the best thing. And that what you're doing is laughable. So, and over the years, I've tried to understand Krishna consciousness more clearly and help other people try to understand it. I was 22. It wasn't the temple. It was a traveling party. It was Rupa Nugadas. He was a sannyasi at the time. He was the GBC for the entire Eastern United States, Mississippi over Canada, and Latin America. That was a gigantic area. And we had a traveling party. And very nice devotees. Madhava Das, who was a PhD in organic chemistry, who later joined the Bhaktivedanta Institute with Bhakti Sri Damodar. My Sangatana leader's name was Aja, and he was a very forceful preacher. I was reading in the Madhurya Kantandani that a person comes to Krishna consciousness only after many, many lifetimes of agyata sukriti. But then it says it also can happen by the powerful teaching. The devotee, and this devotee powerfully preached, and practically forced me to join like that. Ajadas, what I was going to say that the day after I joined was a Sunday, and Ajadas and another boy named devotee named Rajajana, they received second initiation. And we had a fire yajna in the duplex, in the side of the duplex that we were in. And nice feast and festival, and they got their Gayatri mantras from Rupanuga Prabhu. Later that evening, while we were all sleeping, somebody threw a firebomb in the window. And it exploded on the window jamb, where Brajajana Prabhu was sleeping in his sleeping bag underneath. And the flames went all over, but a lot of them went on top of him. And he had third-degree burns over 90% of his body. And he looked like he had a bad sunburn. But a week later, his skin was completely charred. And he died. And I went with Rupanuga to see him. They weren't, the hospital staff weren't very cordial in allowing devotees to stay very long. But he was entreating Rajadanapu, you have to chant in your mind. Don't be able to chant with your mouth when you're leaving this body. But you have to chant in your mind. And yeah, that was the day after I joined. So it made me more convinced that this Krishna consciousness is serious business. It's serious business. And somehow, by Prabhupada's mercy, I wasn't scared away. Maybe I had this stubborn streak that you try to stop me from doing something, it only gives me more impetus to try to do it. Ashram Prabhupada put a lot of work in that, so I thought we should show. So, the newspaper in Knoxville, Tennessee, had an article saying that the Hare Krishnas believed in the perfection of sensual love. So, I pretty much invited everyone to come by and throw a firebomb at us. So we left. We stayed for a while with some friends that we had met that had a farm outside of town. Then we moved to Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And the program was Rupanuga and Shivananda. Shivananda was his secretary. He would arrange for Rupanuga to speak in the universities. And then the devotees would do book distribution or whatever. So, there's a lot of interesting experiences that happened. We weren't doing very well in Chapel Hill because there had been a temple there before. Burijan Prabhu and Toshan Krishna Prabhu had started a temple there in the early 70s for a brief amount of time. So people kind of knew us and didn't like us. So Ajahn felt that he could go back to Knoxville. He would collect this boy and he could do some book distribution. He was a big book distributor. He was, again, like he was a forceful guy. He could sell books quite easily and collect funds. So he took our Sankirtan van and he went back to collect this boy in Knoxville. But on the way, he blew the engine of the van. So they told me in the afternoon that I had to go and collect him. Now when we joined back then, you gave everything. You gave what you had. So from my work in construction, there were a few $1,000s. I had a sports car, an old sports car, called a Javelin. 343cc, 4 in the floor. And I brought that. So he wrecked the Sankirtan van, so they told me take my car and go get it. And then you can collect funds to pay for the repairs to the van. So I went, and they told me in the afternoon, just after we had our dinner, Now I'm a new bhakta. So what does prasad time mean? It means you stuff yourself. So, and then they told me immediately afterwards I had to go drive. So I said, no, I can't do that, I'll fall asleep. I said, no, you have to go. So I went, I did fall asleep. And I was heading right for a bridge abutment. Somehow or other Krishna woke me up as a super soul. I twisted the wheel and the side of the car hit at the same time. The front wheel and the back wheel hit the sidewalk of the bridge at the same time. And it locked the brakes. So even though I was doing like 100 miles an hour, it stopped within just a few meters. So the next morning, it wasn't far from a motorway station, so the people came down, and it was a 2-minute thing to release the brakes. And that was where Aja was also, in that same area. So we traveled all over and we collected the funds, and we came back to the repair shop and gave the money. And then Aja turns to the guy and says, how much you give me for this car? And I'm going, that's my car. And they're not interested. They're not interested. They're in the business, so, somebody asks you, then you look at it like it's, it's the stool of a hog or something. You don't want. So then he says, well, you give $100. And then they perked up. And I'm thinking, that's my car. So there it went. It was gone. He knew I was attached to it. We have so many attachments. It was gone. Gone. We went to Washington, D.C., and Rupanuga promised Srila Prabhupada that he would give America. He would give America to Srila Prabhupada on a silver plate. So he started a political party called In God We Trust. We were traveling around doing rock concerts. We would go, in America, they'd park all the cars in next to each other so that they can put most of the cars in. So we used to speak to people as they got out of their cars and offer them some incense and get some donations. So we traveled all around doing that. And then it was stopped. Prabhupada stopped. He said, politics. It's too dirty a business. Too dirty a business. So Prabhupada came to Atlanta in March 1975. And maybe I should just write the book. Keep it there. This will come on forever. But the point I wanted to make was that really and again, that Srila Prabhupada just mercifully gave us an opportunity to render some service. I collected for about 5 years for the temple in Durban. And then a lot of times, it used to be, I used to think, wow, I collected a lot of money. And but then I began to really realize that actually it was just a gift of service. Anybody could have done it, but you just took the opportunity. You were given the opportunity, you took it. And Prabhupada used you. Prabhupada engaged you in some activities that could benefit the world, at least the people of South Africa. So what have I done? I've done nothing, really. I've just taken an opportunity and utilized it. And that's not to my credit, it's just Srila Prabhupada's mercy. So, I mean, I'm happy for the flowers, and I'm sure it's going to be a nice feast. And I'm glad you're all here. And as Mother Shanine was saying, we used to invite the devotees. That was our birthday. And we just invite all the devotees and serve the devotees. It's just, our house is big enough now, so we come here. But what Srila Prabhupada has given us is somehow, if we can just try to appreciate it and try to find other people who can. We were listening to His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami. The first devotee he met was Srila Prabhupada. He met Srila Prabhupada at the University of Auckland. He met. And he heard Srila Prabhupada speak. That was his first day. The first day. And he had many opportunities to associate with Srila Prabhupada in London when he just joined. So there are so many personalities in this movement that have shown that from their previous life they had a lot of spiritual experience. They had a lot of they were devotees in their previous lives. And they're everywhere. Those persons are everywhere. There are a lot of people that are not like that. But there are a lot of people who are just looking. They're just looking for Krishna. And interestingly enough, for those who didn't come on the Harinam, there's I didn't know it either. It used to be the Pig and Whistle, but now it's the Potter's Church. So when we were chanting, they took exception. Of course, Mother Keshwar Priya gave me a nice little speaker. I think it's over there. Yeah, little speaker. So then what did they do? They brought out the big ones and the big sound system, and tried to shout us down or something like that. So all kinds of interesting people in the world. But it's there in everyone's heart. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Saja Kabunoi Shuddha Chichete Karaye Udoy. That love for Krishna, it's in everybody's heart. We just have to bring it out somehow. And we do that by chanting Hare Krishna. Chanting Hare Krishna. And chanting more Hare Krishnas. And once we've chanted enough Hare Krishnas, where we don't want to stop chanting Hare Krishna, then Krishna will appear. So, I've been blessed by Srila Prabhupada. I'm nothing ordinary. In fact, I can almost say I'm on the bottom of the list. But whatever I've appreciated from Srila Prabhupada and from his teachings, I offer to you. And the other point I wanted to make, which is that one would think that I must become a pure devotee, and I shouldn't. But the point is that if I can just connect you with Srila Prabhupada, if I can just connect you with Srila Prabhupada, then my existence is successful. And I'll read this. This is from Bhakti Srimraj. The scriptures do say that one must find an eternally liberated, pure devotee spiritual master. However, by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, a new possibility has become available. Srila Prabhupada came, and he is still bestowing his mercy in the form of his ISKCON society. In this age, for the massive propagation of Krishna consciousness all over the world, so many gurus are needed, and most of them may not be eternally liberated souls, as stated above. Still, no one will doubt the super excellent spiritual position of Srila Prabhupada. In a society like ISKCON, where there are so many spiritual masters, all of them will not be equally advanced. Some will be extremely advanced and others will not. But yet, different devotees will be attracted to different spiritual masters for various reasons and receive initiation from them. If it is felt that a disciple's spiritual advancement is limited to the degree of his spiritual master's advancement, then this understanding is correct. However, in ISKCON, the advancement of a particular disciple is not limited by that factor. Srila Prabhupada's unique arrangement adds a totally new dimension. In ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada is the ultimate deliverer. Therefore, disciples must realize that the spiritual master's responsibility is to connect them to Srila Prabhupada. And if they can do that, then they're perfectly executing their duties as bona fide spiritual masters. So, Maharaj wrote that, and that's our saving grace. We can just connect you to Prabhupada. I mean, we must continue to follow Srila Prabhupada nicely. But if we can just connect you to Srila Prabhupada, then our lives have a purpose. So many of my God brothers have done billions, trillions more than I have, and I'm happy. I'm happy. But whatever little I have done, I'm hoping there will be more. And I request that you take up that same idea and appreciate the many section of everyone here are already initiated devotees in ISKCON. But for everyone to realize the absolute importance of what, and as I mentioned in the little clip, that it's serious business. It's not merrily. Ain't. Human life is serious business. And if we take spiritual understanding, and we have Srila Prabhupada's wonderful example, and I'm not saying that any other religion doesn't have that as well, but Srila Prabhupada has offered a unique opportunity for becoming spiritually aware, to become self-realized, to be a spiritual entity, to go back home, back to Godhead. So the opportunity is what Srila Prabhupada work so hard to give us, and again, we can just try to give it to others and appreciate it, at least appreciate what Srila Prabhupada has done. So I thank you again, and everyone, for coming and for appreciating what Srila Prabhupada has brought and allowed me to carry to some of you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I want to acknowledge our good friends from HWPL, Dr. David, and Bhakti Hildegard, and Bhakti Christina. Whenever you see them wandering around the temple, make sure you get them to the restaurant. Because they like prasad. Hare Krishna.
I'd like to now invite His Grace Adoksa to offer some homage to Lady Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Dear Madhami Prabhu, thank you very much for being here with us in Cape Town. I've definitely said this before, say it again. I've meant it before, I've meant it forever as well. And I just think it's amazing how for 50 years you've been serving Srila Prabhupada. I mean, I'm only 25 years old, so that's like double my age. Not kidding, but I'm 41. But Prabhu, I think it's just really amazing. I think many of the things which you've done, a lot of us can't even conceive to even think about doing, let alone actually taking the action and doing it. I mean, it's very well known even in the material world that action speaks louder than words. Okay. But it's just amazing, Prabhu, that, like, I've thought about it so many times. And just what you've done, I mean, ridiculous things like sacrificing your health, putting your body through enormous amounts of strain, just to give us the beauty of Srila Prabhupada's movement that we all sit here and enjoy today. I mean, I certainly come and enjoy so much of the association of the devotees. But Prabhu, I mean, you were clearly one of the pioneers in Cape Town as well. And, all of these wonderful things that we have, the awesome devotees we have here, it really, to a large extent would not have been possible if it wasn't for you. So, Madhami Prabhu, thank you very much. I think there's, I thought it was actually so funny that your initiation happened at the opening of Krishna Balaram Temple. And I wonder at the opening of TOBP what milestones we'll be celebrating for you as well. Certainly looking forward to that. And otherwise, wish you many, many years of good health and service to Srila Prabhupada, and may we all enjoy your association going forward. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Adoksa Prabhu. Now, Madhavi Prabhu, we've kept you on the chair for quite a while, and we've heard from you, and you've tolerated us. So now we'd like to feed you some cake. That's okay.
Where's Lalita Mataji?
Bhakti is going to lead us in Srila prayers.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste So next up, Medavi Prabhu's special friend, David from HWPL, would like to say a few words.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Well, it's quite an honor to stand up here and just to be able to share a few words. I don't know if my words can ever amount to everything that Prabhu Madhavi has done for the ISKCON group and everybody here in Cape Town. But what I want to say is for 10 years I've been in association with this humble soul and been able to listen to the words that he has spoken. And one thing that has stood out to myself, as well as seeing the actions of his precious wife, Lalita, is that everything that they say, they do act upon. Their words are not empty, but their words are full of life and full of joy. And from the chairman of HWPL always said that what will get us into the place of paradise or the place of being in no more pain is our habits. And if we're able to change, one who is able to change their habits is able to reach this place. But this place to many will only be a dream, but to a few, it will be a reality. And I can really see that by the guidance that you have of Madhavi Prabhu, Your Grace, Guru Madhavi, many people, I believe, will be able to also finally have the acquaintance of that precious place. And so thank you very much for your time with HWPL as well, and for putting in the effort with sharing. You know, there were times when there would be car troubles, there would be times when things would happen, but you would always somehow get to the warp offices and the interfaith dialogues. And I do believe that it's not only on its own, but with the help of all the devotees, all of their chants and all of their prayers that have helped to allow Guru Madhavi to be able to also participate in all of the support. So, as I say, if you're calling yourself bottom of the list, then I don't know where I am, because I'm very, very far under that list as well. But thank you so much for the great example. And also, there are many times that we've seen where times have been tough, and where Guru Madhavi, anyone could have done any kind of action, lashing out, giving their opinion, but humbly, you'll see Guru Madhavi sitting, thinking, and kindly giving a good word. And so thank you very much for your example and for your acquaintance as well. I'm grateful to be able to be associated with you and with the fellow ISKCON brothers and sisters here as well as HWPL. So together I believe that we can really make a movement that will be able to bring about peace, not just for us who are working for peace, but helping those realize who are not working for peace that it is actually achievable. Thank you very much.
So now it's time for the thanks, vote of thanks. Thank you, David, for sharing your kind words with us and your friendship with Madhavi Prabhu over the years. We're very inspired by the organization that you inspire in the HWPL. So thank you very much to all of you for attending. Thank you for bringing your presence here. Thank you so much to Adok Sach Prabhu, Bipin Prabhu, Ashwin, Dia, Gunaman, Jari Mataji, Shiv Shankar Prabhu, Mamtamai Mataji, Mother Radharani, Mother Monica, Mother Jayanti, Mother Banu, His Grace Govardhan Sila Prabhu, Murari Prabhu, Indulekha Mataji, Ramanandini Mataji, Kandapa Sundari Mataji, Karuna Sindhu Avatar, and many others. And thank you very much to our esteemed guests from HWPL as well, and His Grace Bhakti Prabhu. And most of all, thank you to His Grace Madhavi Prabhu and Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So we hope that you feel inspired and nourished by this festival. One of the 6 loving these kind of festivals actually accomplish all 6 of the loving exchanges. So we all share our minds in confidence, and we inquire confidentially. We all honor prasadam and share prasadam, and we saw some lovely exchanges of gifts as well. And their graces, Medhavi Prabhu and Lalita Mataji, gifted us with the greatest present, which was their presence. So thank you so much for those gifts, and now we will move on to prasadam. Is anyone out there brave enough to do the prasadam prayer? I'm feeling a bit tired of my own voice by now.
Mahaprasade Govinde, Namo Brahmani Vaishnave, Svapa Punyavatam Rajam, Vishwasona Vijayate, Sarira Vijaja, Yudindriya Hidayakam, Shivitire Disasagore, Dharamade Divayate, Yogomo Sadumate, Jagadatam Samsare, Krishna Goya Doyamo, Gori Vara Jivaja, Swapata Mandiloba, Devanamritapa, Radha Krishna Gunaga, Siko Sitananita, Janimai Janita, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Shri Chaitanya Nitya Prasad Ki, Chaitanya Puchanga Shri Bhagavan Mahaprasad Ki, Gom Gamanandi.
ISKCON Cape Town Yatra ki,